Welcome aboard the BK Escape Pod. That's right, it's the augmented and bionic podcast version of the live show you can hear Saturdays from 10 a.m. till 12 p.m. Eastern on 100.3 FM and AM 1450 WBHF Radio. You can stream the show live there Saturdays at WBHFradio.org or on the free Tunein app. Look out, here we go. Oh, and by the way, if you hear me give out a telephone number, don't call because this is a rebroadcast, and our janitor Charlie will answer the phone, and believe me, you don't want to talk to him. He's an ornery little cuss.
Stand by to receive our transmission.
Well, let me make sure I did everything. Okay, the microphone's on, the switches are where they need to be, the lights are flashing. The chair is adjusted. Alan is sitting over there staring at me. That's always good. I like that stare. That's because you just did your show and you got your coffee and everything, and you're like, got the Alan stare going on. It's not the Kubrick stare. That's a different stare. I would be afraid if you were looking at me like Private Pile in Full Metal Jacket. That would scare me a little bit. With the whole stare when the head's down a little bit like Jack in The Shining. That it's the Kubrick look. It's in every one of his films. Somebody does it somewhere in his movies because it's just that psychotic look. Okay, so now you're doing it. Don't do it. I shouldn't have said anything about it. What else? The door's locked to the studio so no one can get in here. What, did I forget anything? I don't think so. I'm recording.
You need one more reference. Everything's working. We've got to have the flux capacitor fluxing.
I'm recording the show for future posterity, and I went to the bathroom. Oh, wait, no. I forgot something.
Hold on.
I forgot. People ask me, how do I use the bathroom in my Iron Man suit? And I tell them, just like that. That's what he says in Iron Man 2. I think that's great. Talk about the Marvel universe and all these streaming shows and the movies and stuff. We were having a wonderful conversation off air and on your show earlier this morning about just how things are kind of falling short or fell way short in, what was it, Phase 4? And now Phase 5 has started. Or is it Phase 6? No, it's Phase 5.
Are we actually into Phase 5? Because
yes.
4...
I think 5 started.
Do we call it the forgotten phase?
It's the Fs. The Phase 4 forgotten from Marvel.
There weren't many things to delight in.
No, there wasn't. And
Spider-Man was.
We're a big fan of those movies.
Doc Strange 2.
When we would see a post-credit sequence, we're like, what are we moving toward here? What's that? Yeah. What are we building toward? And I couldn't tell anything at all.
Have they done? I can ask you because I'm a little behind.
Yes,
you are. I haven't seen Wakanda forever.
You'll catch up.
I've seen the small screen stuff.
Right.
Have they established that Thanos' brother was introduced in the post-credit at the end of Eternals? Have they done anything more with that? I
can't remember if they did or not.
I don't think so.
Maybe they did. Because, see, I'm so kind of not interested now that I can't tell you. If I saw it, I forgot it because it may be a little forgettable. So I don't. Because
isn't it that singer dude that was playing him?
Yeah, Harry Styles.
Yeah.
Again, when I saw him show up as Star Fox, is his superhero name, at the end of what was it, Thor: Love and Thunder, when he shows up at the end, and I'm like, okay, wow, Harry Styles, as an actor, you're a great singer. And I say that about a lot of people, like, why did you cast this? Usually Marvel's pretty good with their casting, but I don't know, maybe it'll surprise us. I have no idea where they're going. Well, the most interesting post-credit sequence to me, and we'll talk a little Marvel here, but I got other stuff to talk about, by the way, it's BK on the air. The most intriguing post-credit sequence that I saw that I was awesomely impressed with, that they hope they build on, was one of the post-credit sequences of the Eternals, believe it or not. Not a great film, but it had a great post-credit sequence with Kit Harington, who played Jon Snow in Game of Thrones. It foreshadows him becoming the Black Knight because he looks at the sword.
And you hear Blade behind him.
And what we think is Blade, saying,
I forgot about,
you sure you want to do that?
That's right, there were 2 of them.
Yeah, so that's the one I'm looking forward to if they build on that, because the Black Knight is a fantastic character in Marvel, and they could do a lot with him. So, and again, one of those characters that not a lot of people know about.
They haven't done anything with it since.
No, they haven't, and I'm like, come on, find out, get the rudder back on the boat, get the rudder fixed, because you're kind of running around a circle in the middle of the ocean here. I don't know what's going on.
There was a formula that worked.
Yeah, just a few years ago. And in the span of time, it's just a short span of time, like maybe 10 or 11 years now. They were really going like gangbusters, and I don't know what happened. So we'll see. Well, I'm sticking with it because I'm a fan. I'll go see the films, and because I love that universe. But to me, and this is my opinion, I know everybody has theirs. opinions are like noses. Everyone has one.
You can say that.
Yeah, I can say that. So yeah, we'll find out. So got a lot coming up on the program today, by the way. So I don't know if I'm actually going to get to all this stuff, but a lot of stuff has nothing to do with that, believe it or not.
To put a pin in this and move on.
We may revisit it.
If it continues to head in the wrong direction, I can at least thank them for giving us 25 in a row films I can always revisit.
And that's a lot of entertainment. That's a pretty great record. If it stopped 5 films ago, that's a darn good record of stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a good...
It's still one of our favorite marathons to do, just literally go back once in a while and schedule once a week or once a night. We're going to watch them all from Iron Man through to Endgame.
No doubt.
Technically, you got to go all the way from Far From Home. Or not.
Right.
Yeah, Far From Home.
I think, and I'll tell you, I think the last film that I really enjoyed thoroughly, as I enjoyed the old ones, was the Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. And now that's the one I went up to. After that one, that's when they kind of started to fall down, because I just loved that film. I thought it was great. In between that,
I don't care to ever see Love and Thunder again. I don't care to see the Eternals again.
No. And that's bad. I feel sad saying that.
I haven't seen Wakanda Forever, but I'll wait to see that.
It's not great.
And I keep hearing Ant-Man is such a letdown.
Ant-Man started out with promise, but something happened. I always said that Ant-Man, Quantumania, Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania, I think there were 3 guys in a room writing the movie, and they all 3 wrote kind of 3 different screenplays, and they kind of went, well, let's just stick those together. And when you do something like that, you're supposed to make the transitions between the 3 seamless, But no, when you watch Ant-Man Quantumania, it's like when you weld something together, there's a giant seam in the middle. It's like, I just stuck these 2 pieces of steel together, and you can obviously see where I did it. And it just seems like it's 2 or 3 different films, and it's kind of a mess. It has its moments, though. It has some great moments in it. But you can't I've said this before when we reviewed it a few weeks ago, you cannot make a movie with a battle sequence at the end of it that's just as big as Infinity, as Endgame. I mean, there's a huge battle in Ant-Man Quantumania in the quantum realm, which rivals the finale film that you made before. But if you start that off with one movie with a minor character like Ant-Man, what are you going to do after that? You don't have to wow us with a giant Braveheart fight scene at the end of the movie now, even if it's a small character. Ant-Man is small in more ways than one. He is small. He's a minor, small character. And that doesn't mean he can't have action sequences. It doesn't mean that he can't have wonderful things and cool things happen. Watch his first 2 films. You'll see the formula. It was done greatly. I love them.
It was perfect.
This one was, I don't know, something was wrong. So I'm hoping they'll get it back. On the flip side, though, however, I'm enjoying some things that are streaming now, and I think John Wick is out. John Wick 4, I think, is out in theater now. So that's another franchise that I kind of like. They have been less interesting the more I've watched them, but there's something guilty. I have a guilty pleasure of just watching Keanu Reeves as a character just getting revenge on a bunch of folks that killed his puppy. That is to me, it's very satisfying. And it's fun, and I'll go, and I know what I'm expecting. If you're like going, that was mindless action, I can't believe that was horrible. I'm like, I know that's what I'm going to get when I go in to see those films, around a story, somewhat of a story attached to it, and I'm looking forward to seeing that too. But yeah, and Shazam, Fury of the Gods, got a little news about that. A certain cameo who's a friend of ours. We'll talk about that as the program goes on. I got too much to talk about here. What am I going to do, Alan? I can't get it all in. It's big down there. I'll try my best.
Look what I can do. I can wear big kid pants too.
Only Pull-Ups training pants have stretchy sides, like real underpants, for the snuggest, trimmest big kid fit.
And I can pull them off and on.
For protection and fit, there's nothing like Pull-Ups.
Mommy, wow! I'm a big kid now.
If Monday's bad or Tuesday's sad, make a Saturday.
That's a Sunday.
Wednesday rains or Thursday's gray, make a Saturday.
Looks like a Sunday.
Instead of half a banana in a pineapple ring, add yogurt creamy smooth. Pop a grape on top and that's a Saturday for you. Make a weekend treat any day of the week. Make a Saturday.
Now that's a Saturday.
To understand the nature of life, has been our quest from the beginning of time. A search full of curiosity, discovery, invention, genius, adventure. Today, your family can share this heritage in a remarkable new book, the Random House Encyclopedia. One volume of the world's basic knowledge, with thousands of color illustrations to illuminate the depth of our learning from the creation until today. The new Random House Encyclopedia. Come see it wherever books are sold.
Now back to the show.
Oh, yeah. You will probably find this inspection boring for the likes of you two. Boring? Well, we won't be blowing things up. Taking or engaging in fire, crash landing expectedly or unexpectedly. Those were the days.
There is something coming.
Battle stations.
Some kind of attack. And Starfleet could be the target.
There's a darkness. An all-consuming darkness.
And it is getting stronger.
Jean-Luc, trust no one.
Jean-Luc Picard. We will have vengeance.
You and I have traveled to the far reaches of space. But something's different now. This is the end, my friend.
Geordi!
Such pathetic old warriors.
I, too, was once irrational, violent.
Is anybody you know still the person you knew?
This is life or death.
It's always life or death, Jean-Luc. When has it not been?
With each ticking moment, I will take another piece of you.
Battle stations!
Survival. Human nature, pal.
We fight or we die. Gun it! I need you. All of you.
We're with you. Always.
Engage.
Yeah, we got a little Season 3 teaser there. It's been out for a little while now. Season 3 of Picard. It actually premiered February the 16th on Paramount Plus. I want to shock a lot of people by saying this. I am enjoying Season 3 of Picard. I think I got about 6 episodes or 5 or so many into the first season of Picard. I'm like, this is not working out, and I didn't even bother.
We're gonna have to.
On.
We're not gonna.
Yeah,
I can't see you anymore. I'm gonna.
We're going to break off this relationship.
I think we need to see other people.
We're done. Yeah, I'm going to go see a guy named The Mandalorian instead. I'm going to watch that. But I was watching it anyway. I heard season 2 was a real bust, and I haven't even bothered to watch it. You know, I'm like, I don't even know if I want to go back and see it. But to watch season 3 of Picard, you don't really need to have seen season 1 and 2, and I think they realized that when I heard they had a new creative team and they're really throwing some nostalgic stuff at you, as they should, because if you acknowledge the past, even we acknowledge the past now. And somebody who was watching it, they actually encounter they actually go to a space station, what's called the Fleet Museum. And was like, well, why do they keep every starship they make in a museum? That's dumb. I'm like, why? We do that now. We have old ships that you can visit now of our military past. We even have aircraft like the Amelia, Charles Lindbergh, even the Kitty Hawk plane. There's a replica of it here at the Tellus Museum here in Cartersville. So we still have shipyards of old great vessels. So of course that argument was wrong. So got to visit some old friends in this latest episode. So check out Picard Season 3 if you haven't seen it, because I'm really enjoying it, and I wasn't that big into The Next Generation. They had a handful of stuff that I liked that they did, starting with, I think, their 3rd season of the original shows, where they really, I think, found their footing. And it was more of and then I wasn't a big fan of any of the other shows, but I did watch Enterprise with Scott Bakula. I think was probably my favorite Star Trek show was Enterprise next to the original series. I think Enterprise was my second favorite Star Trek show because it was just so well done with adventure and excitement and the acting and the way the show was put together. So check out Picard. You haven't seen it yet, so you got it hopefully planned on seeing it. Maybe if they'll release it somewhere. Once they'll release it somewhere else, like on Netflix or something, where you can watch the first season of it.
Oh, no,
something.
we have Paramount now.
Oh, you do? Oh, I didn't know that. The last thing we talked about
the
it.
wife was like, we got to get Yellowstone.
Okay. I don't know if I get it for one show,
Hey,
but you have two shows.
Well,
maybe.
there's three now because they did a prequel called 1883, followed
That's
by
right.
1923.
A Western show, yeah. Way back then.
I'm at Harrison Ford.
You're grumpy
delivering
Harrison.
all his lines like this.
You're grumpy Harrison Ford.
I'm a rancher now.
Oh, good. So that means you can watch Tulsa King with Sylvester Stallone now. So you got a whole new world of streaming
because I've got all this free
opened
time.
up to you.
I'll tell you this: the trailer you just played that opened this segment is the only trailer that made me go, I might give this a try.
Don't watch the first. If you want to watch the first two seasons, just to say that you have, since you have the channel now, you can stream it. But I would say
we have it for a year.
If you just want to watch season 3 and not waste your time and run the risk of not getting up to season 3 because you've watched too many other things, you can just start watching season 3 and then maybe go back and watch 1 and 2 if you want to.
Well, that's what's encouraging me is when you're telling me that season 3 doesn't really require any knowledge of what happened.
It really
in the first
doesn't.
two.
It really doesn't. Even if they mention something in the show that happened before, they kind of mention it in a way of explaining it. So you're a synthetic body now. How'd that happen? Well, here's how it happened, and that's it. We're moving on. They know. They're like, nobody's going to watch the first 2 seasons, so we're going to do this instead. So check it out. I think you'll like it. Is it the best sci-fi show ever made? No. I mean, I don't think there'll ever be a best one anymore. We've already had all the best that have come out, but it's very well done. Now, ask millennials 10 or 15, 20 years from now what the best show of all time is, and we know they'll have a different answer because every generation does. So. Mm-hmm. But they will be the next generation, the next generation. Hey, I just feel old watching it because when I sit here and watch these characters, see, to me, they were Star Trek: The Next Generation. They were new right. in the late '80s. They were new. Now they're classic now as well. I'm like, geez, really? I guess so.
There is something that when you watch these actors, because they're the same actors, they've brought them all back.
Every one of them, yeah, every one of them.
But they're all 25. 30 years older.
Yeah. And I made the joke as a kid. I always wanted to look like William Shatner because I'm like, Captain Kirk, he's my hero. He's awesome. I wish I looked like him, man. It'd be great. Well, when I see pictures of Shatner on the beach now, I do look like him. And I can say the same thing now looking at Riker. on the Picard show. I'm like, oh, wow. Riker's hair is gray with a beard, and he's all gray now, and he has a paunch in the front in his tummy. I now look like Riker, too. So I'm looking like all the captains now, finally. I finally made it, whether I like it or not.
It's
unintentionally.
We live in an interesting time where we can actually do that. We can create a brand new series based on these characters and bringing the actual actors back.
Yes, and not replace
them. We don't
them.
have to age them.
No.
We are literally seeing them 30-plus years older.
No, in this show, we have to de-age them for flashback scenes. It's what happens.
Wow.
Which is what they do.
But it's kind of cool at the same time because if they can hold it together, and if it's well written.
In more ways than one, if they can hold it together. Yeah, you're right.
Picard can't hit his mark anymore. Just shift with him. Just shift with him.
Hold it together.
Move the camera. Yeah.
Tighten the girdle a little more around the waist.
Quick! I can't hold my breath any longer for this shot.
I will tell you this: there's a scene in the newest episode this week where it's a flashback. They show a flashback, but instead of filming a flashback, they simply show a quick scene from the first episode of Star Trek: The Next Generation, Encounter at Farpoint, the first one, and it's a scene with Riker and Data. And as soon as they show it, you're kind of taken aback a little bit. And Stacy's like, "Whoa, he was young there," because you see him and you immediately see him in the original show. I'm like, "Wow, that was 1987 or 1988." It's like, wow.
Yeah, and remember when we first met Riker, they didn't have the iconic beard,
right? And they had the one-piece jumpsuit costumes and stuff.
His look looked a little. He didn't have the best second leading man look until he had the beard. The beard was like,
right.
Ooh,
the beard.
I like Riker now,
kind of.
And I'm a dude, and I'm going, okay, that makes you look
better. The
beard
fleshed him out a little
yes,
bit.
That looked better.
But
I was thrown
really
by,
good.
though, because I went a year and a half, 2 years ago. I rewatched all of Next Generation.
That's right. We talked about it. You watched the entire show.
What I was thrown by was how 30 years ago it was okay for Riker to be, quote, a womanizer. Like I've got a new woman on this planet. I got a new woman. And I kept thinking, and here I am. I appreciated that character stock trait.
Right.
But then I'm like, if an audience today watching it, they probably would be cringing.
Well, yes, Mrs. BK, she used to watch Star Trek The Next Generation when it was on, and she had a nickname for Riker. His name was Riker, but she called him Rekirk because he's trying to be like Captain Kirk with the women. Commander Rekirk. Okay, he's trying to Kirk do over there, so not quite as good. No one will do it as good as Kirk. But speaking of that, you've done a dog squirrel thing from Up here. Distraction. William Shatner had a birthday this past week.
Yes, he did.
And he turned 92 years old. Number one, that's pretty amazing for him still being the way he is at 92. Mm-hmm. We talked about him going into space, and it's like the man will do more at 100 if he makes it than I will do than I was at 30.
Now.
Right now, yeah, you're right. But something else hit me. Someone else has a birthday this year, and that's later this year. I can't remember what month it is, but they turn 92 this year, same age as him, and it's a woman, a female actress, a classic actress from the 60s. Had her own show in the 60s. You really liked her. You still do. Barbara Eden turns 92 this year. So with just a few months difference, her and William Shatner are about the same age. 92 years old.
I have some wishes, Jeannie. I do.
You do, really? Are you going to play Major Nelson?
I would have taken that show in a whole new direction.
Well, I have some wishes for William Shatner, too, but not the same thing you're thinking about.
I don't think so. Although we could both agree they'd be out of this world.
Yes, they certainly would. Yes, very much so. One's a little bigger than the other, but yeah, you're right. So 92, and they're still trucking. I think that's great. I caught Barbara Eden on an episode of I Love Lucy the other day. I'm like, wow, I never knew she played in an episode of I Love Lucy in the 50s. Then she wound up in Andy Griffith show in the early 60s. She's just as cute as she can be. Wow. She's so pretty. Speaking on the air, we'll come back and flash the audience and get to all the other stuff I've got. I hope I got time for it.
Hi, I'm Barbara Eden. In the blink of an eye, I made my tummy disappear. Magic? Almost. It's Legs Control Top Pantyhose with feel-free control. Legs Control Top helps me look firmer in the right places, smoother in the right clothes. Feel-free control lets me feel free as a genie can be. Legs Control Top, because nothing beats a great pair of legs.
Nothing beats a great pair of legs.
They're doing push-ups in Peoria. They're jogging in L.A. They're exercising everything in lots of crazy ways. But take it from the chopper. Hey, the chopper, yeah, that's me. If you want to have great choppers, exercise your teeth.
Exercise those choppers, really chew, chew, chew. Exercise those choppers on some good hard food. Your molars grind,
your canines tear,
incisors bite right through. So exercise those choppers on some good hard food.
Pumpernickel,
carrot sticks,
crunchy fruits and nuts. Things you really have to chew will make your choppers tough. So take it from the chop, 'cause choppers know it's true.
Exercise is great, but exercise your choppers too. Hey, chopper, how about running a few laps with us?
Hey, later, man. I'm eating a celery stick. This is hard exercise.
Hey, we're back. It's BK on the air here on AM 1450 and 100.3 FM WBHF. I do want to welcome another local station just south, way down south west of Atlanta. WQEE 99.1 FM is picking up BK, the BK replay. They'll play a replay of my show every Sunday at noon Eastern, so check that out if you're down in that area. Check me out there. I'm branching out. I'm going out. They play the podcast version of the show down there, and I'm very, very happy about it. If you didn't know it, we're a big sports station here. We cover a lot of local sports here on WBHF. A lot of stuff going on in sports. This is a sports town, and last night was no exception. A lot of sports going on last night. This is just a highlight of one of the interviews from our sports coverage here at WBHF.
You know, we had a few odd man rushes there in the first period, which was not good for us. But, I mean, everyone had their nerves going and everything like that. And then, which we were glad to just keep them to 1 and everything like that. And then we went back after the period into the locker room, just talked about what we need to fix and everything like that. Stick to the game plan, get back on it and everything like that. So just paid off, stick to the game plan, you know, stiffen up defense and everything like that. No pinches, everything like that.
You moving on to the semifinals. Your uncle, Stu, played here a while back, I think 20 years ago with Alexandria. Did you get any advice from him coming in here to the tournament?
Yeah, I got a nice long text from him this morning saying don't let the atmosphere, get your nerves shaken up and everything like that. Just play your game, which is what I try to do out here and everything like that. So, yeah, definitely help from him and everything like that.
Moving on to the semifinals, you get Stillwater. Your initial thoughts on the big matchup?
It should be a great game. I can't wait to play them. I know they're doing good. Only 1 loss on the season, I believe, and everything like that.
So I just want to make sure that we get across that they did do a good job last night, and I'm so proud of them. I'm so proud. But now we've reached that time where we like to. It's the news flashes. Flash the audience of the news, the weird, the strange, the bizarre, the crazy, the oddball, the I can't believe it, but they happen. And I have the first news. Of course, from UPI, the California Highway Patrol said cleanup crews were summoned to a stretch of highway when a truck overturned and spilled its load of about 10,000 empty wine bottles into the roadway. Empty wine bottles. So they didn't have any kind of fun cleaning it up at all. The CHP, the Chips, it's Chips. Ponch and John of Santa Rosa office said the truck overturned on Highway 101 near Harrodsburg, and the trailer ripped open, spilling its load of about 10,000 empty bottles of wine onto the roadway. The cause of the crash is unclear. It says crews responded to the cleanup. The Chips were on the scene to clean it up. In fact, there they come right now. They showed up on their motorcycles. Chips! I love it when we can talk about the California Highway Patrol. When I took a trip out there on the BK Hollywood tour in 2017 or 18, I can't remember what year we were out there, we actually saw some of the CHPs go by, and that's immediately what I thought was Ponch and John going by. The CHP. Empty wine bottles. Usually they spill food when we're talking about stuff in our other news flashes. So let's get to the next news. From UPI, a dedicated Disney fan visited all the company's 12 theme parks across the globe in 12 days, taking a spin on all 216 operating rides. This is no small feat. Nathan Firesheets started his project, the Disney Global Ride Challenge, on March the 8th of this year at Disneyland Paris, and completed his journey at Florida's Magic Kingdom this past Sunday. Now, the days in between saw Firesheets visit Walt Disney Studios, Shanghai Disneyland, Hong Kong Disneyland, Tokyo Disneyland, Tokyo Disney Sea, Disneyland, Disney California Adventure, Epcot, Animal Kingdom, and Hollywood Studios. Firesheets says that he managed to hit every operating ride at each park along the way. 216 rides. Firesheets did not disclose how much money, though, he spent on his project. I can guess about how much it was. Probably a whole lot. That's how much it was. Because we've talked in the past. We tried to plan a Disney trip, I think, a couple of years ago. And we're like, wait a minute. We calculated it up, and I've said it before. We could have gone to Europe. We could have done a Viking River cruise in Europe. We could have gone to England or Ireland or France or something for just about the same money that we wanted to do. If we do Disney right, the way we like to do it, we could have gone to Europe for that same money. So, yeah. It was a lot of money this guy spent, and I think he knows this guy. I think he one of our guests on the program not too long ago from the classic movie Misfits, Brian Rickerson. I think he knows this guy or has worked with him or something, and he told me about this. So that was a cool story to find out. I got the next news from UPI. An angler who found a camera in a Colorado river was able to retrieve the photos from the device and discovered it had been underwater for 13 years. Spencer Greener said that he was fishing recently in the Animas River when he spotted a camera at the bottom of the shallow water. Quote, I was walking along and saw it sticking out of the sand, he told KDVR-TV. It was in rough shape, so I really didn't have any hopes of getting anything off of it. I was just planning to throw it away, and then curiosity got the best of me, and I had to see what was on it, unquote. Grenier said that he opened the camera's memory card compartment and water rushed out. He discovered the phone was loaded with photos of a bachelorette party, a wedding, and a tubing trip. I guess the tubing trip was the last thing. Maybe it fell off. Grenier posted some of the photos to a Durango community Facebook group where members started recognizing themselves in the picture. Hey, that's my photos. The camera turned out to have been dropped by someone during a 2010 tubing trip on the river. I was right. The last thing they took photos of was the tubing trip. The camera had traveled 1.2 miles downriver during its 13 years underwater, and I can't believe it. Stuff nowadays, the technology we've got, for it to be to be as fragile as it is, and to be as armor plated sometimes that it is amazing when you can actually do that. I mean, I dropped an iPhone in the river once when we were canoeing twice, and I got it out. And I'm like, oh my goodness, you get it out of the water, get it out of the water. And I got it out both times. Took it home and did the old put it in the rice to dry it out, leave it alone, let it soak up the moisture and whatnot. Turned that phone on, and it had just a little small line on the screen. But other than that, it worked for another year and a half before it was just out of date, and it was an old iPhone. But some of the technology is great because it's a throwaway thing now. In the old days, we had televisions, picture tube TVs, and there used to be something, what were they called? I'm trying to remember what these guys were called. Oh, TV repairmen. That's what we had. We had actually people that would repair televisions, replace a picture tube, fix a screen, solder some wires together, fix a board or some chips or something. But now when your flat screen television goes bad, it's kind of a throwaway thing. You don't really do that anymore. When it goes bad now, it's disposable. So you just kind of throw it away. And Alan, I know Alan remembers TV repairman or people that come over to fix your television.
I remember
right
going to the local hardware store with the tube tester.
Yeah, that's
and
right.
a bag
exactly.
of tubes my dad pulled out of the back of the TV to figure out which one's blown.
Right.
And buying a replacement.
Yeah. No more. None of that now. Your flat screen goes down. It goes into whatever recycling place you drop it off, and it's I guess it's ground up into new little baby widescreen
all
TVs.
That silicone.
Yes, flat silicone. Yeah, all that silicone.
All right.
Wow, that's a whole different
did you
story.
say? I have a news.
You have the last one.
I have the last one. Thank you.
I did the others. I filled in for you. You're okay.
I appreciate
You're
that.
all right.
I can explain later. Or
okay,
maybe
good.
not.
Okay. Well, now you have to off the air. Tell me what's going on.
Let's just say a dinner comprised of habanero cheese and crackers may have an impact the next morning.
Oh, really? Okay. Well, no, we've gone up to the break here. Let's do this news.
Let's save this one.
Tell me more when we go to a break.
Well, I just say be careful. I would not use any one particular room here for a while.
I'll let you use colorful metaphors and adjectives to tell me what's going on, and I'll take your advice.
It was a Jackson Pollock painting come to life.
Oh,
How about
no.
that?
It's like a tornado radar looking. Speak down there. We'll be back. I hope.
Excuse me, what did you have for dinner?
Underdone chicken and an overdrawn bank account.
And then?
Indigestion.
Indigestion? Pepto-Bismol. And what did you have for dinner?
A little of this, a little of that, and a lot of in-laws.
And then?
Indigestion.
Indigestion? Pepto-Bismol. It coats, soothes, relieves.
Listening to BK on the air. This is Mrs. BK, and I'm not listening now because, well, I sleep in every Saturday morning. But I'll catch him later on the BK Escape Pod podcast. Now, back to that man of mine, BK on the air. Mwah.
Yes, and as we talk off the air and on the air about certain bodily functions, both of our better halves are screaming in horror. Here it's BK on the air. Alan just had to step out for a few minutes and visit the porcelain convenience just as a reference. So, and that's okay. We'll leave it at that.
But I'm back.
But you're back now. You're okay. You're alive. You didn't die. You didn't fall in.
No, I'm good. I feel a lot better now.
I'm sure you do. You look a lot better.
I'm on top of the world.
When you walked out, there was like 2 little beads of sweat coming down off your forehead. And I'm like, is he okay? He's never sick. What's the matter with him?
Ready?
Believe me. I'm ready. Are you
how
ready?
about we get to the last news?
All right.
We'll get back on content. How about that? My wife was like, please.
If that's what you want to call it.
Well, it is content. From UPI, an Idaho man snatched 36 pieces of popcorn out of the air while popping the snack on the stove to break a Guinness World Record. David Rush, who has broken more than 250 Guinness World Records to promote STEM education, popped popcorn in a pan on his stove and used his hands to catch popcorn pieces out of the air and place them on a pan held by his 4-year-old son. Rush managed to catch 38 pieces in 1 minute, successfully earning the record for most popping popcorn caught in both hands in 1 minute. Wow. The previous record, 34, was set by fellow serial record breaker Ashrita Furman in 2011. Rush credited his son for managing to hold the pan still even when an errant popcorn kernel flew down his shirt during the attempt.
That is okay. It's fun enough just to have a bag of popcorn that's already popped. It's fun enough just to do that and then take a piece out and throw it up, you know, and catch in your mouth, which I'm pretty good at. I can do that. And when we go to the hibachi. Not the hibachi. Is that hibachi? Yeah, the Japanese restaurant where the guys are performing in front of you and chopping the food.
A Japanese steakhouse
and
with
sometimes
a hibachi.
He'll flick something up in the air like a piece of shrimp, and you're supposed to catch it. I usually get it every time. If he's a good launcher, if he can hit my general area, I can direct it and do it. I'm pretty good. I'm not good at many things, but I'm okay at that.
I used to do that. Do you remember the show That's Incredible?
Yes, That's Incredible on ABC.
So they had an episode on a guy that was one of the long-distance grape catchers. He was on a football field, and someone was throwing a grape as far as they could across the football field, and he was catching it in his mouth. And I was like, oh. And ever since then, I do that with grapes. I try to throw them up as high as I can to see if I can catch it. And I usually do. I practice. I literally practiced as a kid throwing food up and catching it in my mouth.
And you'll agree, it's not so much a throwing it and aiming it properly, it's getting your mouth and head in the right position to get it. That's
the
what
number
you
of times I
had
had the grapes bounce off my cheek or my nose, close my eye at the last thing because I'm like, oh, it's going to hit my eye.
Boy, this makes for riveting radio, doesn't it? Going to the restroom, talking about catching stuff in our mouth and stuff.
Yeah.
People are just
I would argue catching food in your mouth is probably a better topic.
People are just amazed by this
Seems like
stuff.
a more palatable discussion.
Now, I'm going to shock you when I tell you this. You're going to be caught totally off guard. I was checking out Pluto TV the other night, and I happened upon another All in the Family episode, and I watched it, by the way.
You?
A classic All in the Family episode. Probably one of the best sitcoms ever made.
So rare.
It's dramatic, and it's comedy, too. They mixed a lot in with that show, and it was a groundbreaking first Norman Lear show. You know, there's a channel on YouTube called The Norman Lear Effect where it just covers a lot of his shows. I mean, the guy had so many successful shows that were some that were intertwined and joined with each other, and some that weren't. Sanford and Son was developed by Norman Lear on another network, but it had nothing to do with Archie and All in the Family. Right. I would have loved for Fred and Archie to have met each other. That would have been really awesome and amazing. Funny. But I saw an episode of All in the Family. It's such a classic one, and lo and behold, MeTV did a story on their website about this episode of All in the Family, believe it or not.
Boy, the way Glenn Miller played
songs that made the hit parade.
Guys like us, we had it made. Those were the days.
And you knew where you were then.
Girls were girls and men were men. Mister, we could use a man like Herbert Hoover again. Didn't need no welfare state.
Everybody pulled his weight.
G.R.O. LaSalle ran great. Those were the days.
Yeah, show opening that you know instantly the moment you hear it. They may have changed the title sequence a little over the years, but it was the same. It was the same show, the same song, and you knew exactly what it was when it showed up. Well, they showed an episode last night. They didn't show it for me. It just happened to be on. And I started watching it, and I'm like, wait a minute. I remember this episode because it was so – it was popular for a reason because of one fact about the show that happened because of it. And here it is. This is from MeTV. After I saw it last night, I thought, well, I'll talk about that episode, but they actually did something on MeTV about it. The appearance of Sammy Davis Jr. It gave Archie Bunker the kiss of a lifetime on All in the Family is the name of the article. Sammy Davis Jr. could do much more than just a little song and dance. With a career expanding across 6 decades, he was one of the most versatile artists of his time. I mean, you remember the Candyman song from Willy Wonka. Well, he didn't sing it in the movie. The guy at the candy shop sung it. That's the one we hear in the film. Well, Sammy Davis recorded it and made a giant hit from that Willy Wonka song. And that's the one I always heard on the radio as a kid and loved it. Davis Jr. was a singer, a dancer, an actor, and an impressionist, but perhaps the most impressive skill of them all was being able, believe it or not, to charm Archie Bunker on All in the Family. When Davis Jr. planted a kiss on the cheek of Archie Bunker in his 1972 guest appearance on All in the Family, the episode was called Sammy's Visit. It created history for the 70s sitcom. The Season 2 episode features Sammy Davis Jr., who played himself in the episode. He forgets his briefcase in the back of Archie's taxi cab that Archie was driving and then pays the Bunker household a visit to get it back. But, of course, the episode's most memorable moment became known as the Kiss of Infamy. That's what it was called. The scene was filmed in front of a live studio audience, as most All in the Family was. I mean, Jackie Gleason said it best about filming in front of an audience. He goes, Jackie Gleason was quoted as saying, "I cannot stand canned laughter assigned to a sitcom because if you have an audience in the room, they will tell you whether something's funny or not when you do it in front of them, and then maybe you do it in front of a preview audience, then you adjust that joke later on for the actual taping of the show or something when you do it in front of a live audience. If the writers write something, isn't all that funny, but the guy adds laughter to it, it's like, oh, that wasn't funny, but why are people laughing? Gleason couldn't stand that. So that's why they did use a live audience on a lot of those Norman Lear shows. And I think it shows, and you hear them coughing, and every now and then an audience member will sneeze or something like that, or someone will shout out something like, oh, no, from the audience. It's just a live reaction, and I agree with that. It became the scene where Sammy Davis Jr. kisses Archie on the cheek. It was one of the show's longest standing laughter, applause, ovations in television history, and it lasted 38 seconds.
Wow.
And that's a long time when you're in a live audience
just
studio standing.
Just standing there.
Not doing anything and listen to it. The moment also gathered some of the biggest laughs in TV history. Quote, the comedy and the way it attacks prejudice really appealed to me, Sammy Davis said in a 1972 interview with the Calgary Herald. But we haven't seen Archie in contact with a black celebrity. He fawned all over me in the show, but this prejudice still comes through, unquote, Sammy Davis said. Now, each sarcastic or offensive statement Archie dished out to Sammy Davis Jr. throughout the episode, Sammy Davis gave it right back to him with a joke or retorted it or whatever. That's the way it was. Now, according to the interview, Sammy Davis Jr. had this to say about Carol O'Connor, who played Archie Bunker, after the episode had finished filming. He said, quote, even though you play that man, your goodness comes through like an arrow. You're not that good of an actor, unquote. And he was just joking with him because he's like, Archie's not really that bad, because he shows his heart in a lot of the episodes, and he knows that Carol O'Connor was nothing like Archie Bunker. He was just the opposite. He's playing character. In an interview with the Television Academy, John Rich, the director of All in the Family, said Sammy Davis Jr.'s appearance in All in the Family was a 1 in a million story. According to the interview, Davis Jr.'s appearance stemmed from his guest spot on The Tonight Show with Johnny Carson, where he expressed interest in coming on All in the Family. John Rich, the director, said Sammy Davis Jr., cast, and the crew all counted to 3, and the shot began. So I've queued it up here. He's in their living room. Archie's boss, who owns the cab company, has brought the briefcase back to give to him and has just walked in the door. And he wants a photo with Sammy Davis Jr., but Sammy has another idea here.
Can I get a picture?
No, come on, Munson, no pictures.
Oh, no, this one is for me. Mr. Munson, will you stand over there? I want one picture taken with Archie Bunker, my friend, and me.
You and me?
Yes. Now, on 3, okay? 1, 2, 3.
There's the kiss right there. Sammy walks out.
What the hell? He said it was in his contract.
And I think, the cast members are cracking up, too, like Meathead and Gloria and Lionel from the Jeffersons are sitting there. But, yeah, I think that part of that was very genuine on their part, laughing. I mean, you could see parts when Fred Sanford would crack up. You interviewed Damon Wilson, and Red Fox would crack him up, and it would leave it in sometimes where you could see, oh, there's an edit there. There's an edit there. Mm-hmm. Something happened. So there's nothing like a live audience. And, we have those, too, on radio. We have live audiences out there. We hope that we have them, so they just can't. The only way they can respond, it's call to us. Call us or email us or something to tell us they're out there. So All in the Family, one of the best sitcoms. I just wanted to squeeze that in today because that's nostalgic, and I loved that show much more as an adult than I got when I was a kid, but I did watch it. BK on the air. We're going to take a break. See if Alan wants to take another break, maybe.
No,
when we go to break. Okay, so we'll be back with more. It's BK on the air. Stand by.
And now, this message.
It's the one on your mind. It's the one of a kind. A Milky Way bar, whoever you are.
Real milk chocolate. Luscious nougat. Chewy caramel.
So wherever you're going, you're never outgrowing
your love for the taste of a Milky Way.
At work, rest or play, Milky Way.
This is Stop Thief, a computerized cops and robbers game where an electronic crime scanner gives you clues.
Door.
To catch an invisible thief.
A broken window. What is that?
In Stop Thief, when you think you know where the thief is, make the arrest.
Here come the cops. I think you got him.
9-volt battery not included. Stop Thief, an electronic cops and robbers game, new from Parker Brothers.
To say that you behave childishly is an insult to children everywhere.
Hey, look out, we're back. It's BK on the air, your retro radio rocket man, right here on AM 1450 and 100.3 FM WBHF. You can stream us online using the Tunein or the Radio Garden app, or go to our website, WBHFradio.org, and just stream us there. If you ain't close enough to get that AM or that FM signal, you can always get us somewhere. And if you're on Pluto, or if you're on Neptune, or you're in another galaxy, as long as you still got that connection to Earth somehow by that signal, you can hear us no matter where you are.
I don't think that's true. So, I was streaming Pluto the other day, and I didn't find you.
Oh, really? Why? Were you watching All in the Family?
You weren't on.
What were you watching
I was
on
looking
Pluto?
for the BK channel.
Yeah, I'm on Pluto now, by the way.
I think I was looking for the wrong thing. I was looking for the BK Nation.
Is there one out there? I would love to. I'm slowly trying to build it, by the way. I'm trying to build one. I would love for them to stream my show audio only with just my logo on the screen on a Pluto channel. I'm nostalgic. I could fit right on there on one of the grids.
Cool?
One of the grids.
What's his channel? I don't know, man. The screen. I think
it's just there, but
it might move. But you gotta wait for it.
But I hear but you got to sit through all this stupid stuff to listen for it.
How does this work? How do you have a picture?
So funny.
But the talking, they don't move.
It continues to talk, man. Dude, just try something else instead of what you're taking. Just do something different.
Hey, man.
Hey, let's do a little on this day in history. On this day, March the 25th, on this day in history, 1954, RCA manufactures its first color television set on this day with a 12.5-inch screen. And it cost, and in 1954, it cost $1,000 in 1954.
Wow.
Okay, there's a website that does this. Let me find out what $1,000 was in 1954. Here we go.
I got to tell you, that's going to be expensive by today's standards. Think about it. TVs today, a decent one that's probably 65, 75 inches. You know, some of the more, you can buy cheaper ones, but you can spend $1,000 and have a really nice wall unit. Like, it's going to be huge.
Right. In 1954, okay, all right. In 1954, $1,000 is the equivalent today of $11,183.64.
Now, I can tell you, I did not spend that on a TV.
I've never spent that on a TV. No, but that's how much it was back then. It was new.
In fact,
it was new. 1967, on this day in history. We got a little music on our list here. March the 25th, the Turtles' Happy Together goes to number 1. That's a year After I Was Born. You remember that song, right? So happy together. Yeah. I can't see me
but you
for all my life.
Yeah, I know that one.
Shut up.
40 people just turned the radio off.
We've
now.
just lost the audience.
In 1970,
throw them a life preserver.
March the 25th, 1970, the Concorde makes its first supersonic flight on this day in history. 700 miles an hour on its first flight. And I think they got faster as it went along. They got better at it, I think. So,
aren't they bringing supersonic flight back? I heard that they were working on
not
that.
with the Concorde, but maybe something else, right?
A different jet that was going to fly
What's
as
it going to
fast.
look like, I wonder?
Remember when they did the airport version? Was it Concorde 77?
Yeah.
Airport?
No, the Concorde version was 79.
79,
yeah,
okay.
It cost 79. Airport 79 Concorde, I think, was the subtitle of it. Yep, the subtitle of the show. Yeah, and then they did one. It wasn't part of the airport thing. They did a TV movie called Starflight 1, which was basically a disaster aircraft movie for TV, and Lee Majors was the captain of the ship, and it was more of a one that went up into the atmosphere and came back down. And I think it got stuck out of orbit.
Which was the one that they went underwater? And
I think that was the sequel. Airport was the first one, and then Airport was at 70. I think it was Airport 75. Then they started naming them with the numbers,
so
the years.
Maybe that's what I'm
Airport
thinking.
77. Airport 75, I think, is the one you're thinking of because the first one was just called Airport with no year. So I think it was the second one because the first one, I think, a plane hit the cockpit. A little Cessna hit the plane, and Charlton Heston was the pilot, and Karen Black was one of the stewardesses. And I think that was the plot of the first one. I have to revisit those. I haven't seen the airplane movies. Airplane is what the parody of them is. I think I'm much more knowledgeable about the parody films because they were so funny than Airport. 1973, another music record on this day. Number one on the Billboard chart, 1973, is from the OJs, The Love Train. Get on board the Love Train. We won't sing that one, so we'll just move on. And 1982, the first broadcast of Cagney and Lacey, starring Sharon Gless and Tyne Daly on CBS television, was aired on this day. Now, they did a movie or something before that. It was either a pilot of the show where Sharon Gless did not play that character. It was Meg Foster played her.
Oh, she's the one that has the bright blue eyes, right?
Yes. I think
she was in all the 80s
I think she was in the
movies.
first season. Now, in the pilot film before that, Loretta Swit played her. So that character Sharon Gless played was played by two different actresses before her, which is interesting.
Do you think that the whole character came out as a result of the spinoff from the Dirty Harry movie where Tyne Daly was his partner?
I don't know. I just maybe it was that coupled with everyone was ready for finally another female cop show at the time. I mean, it was unheard of. Before that, you had Policewoman with Angie Dickinson had her own show, and I think she was the first one. There was one called Honey West in the 60s, which had a female in it, and I can't remember the actress's name, but it was a groundbreaking show it was in black and white, and it was reruns on some of the channels, but I think that was actually the very first female cop detective show was Honey West, I think. A little BK trivia there, whether it be right or wrong. Somebody will look it up and tell me. Another music anniversary today. Number one on the Billboard chart today, 40 years ago, 1983, because, again, we're visiting 1983 since it's 2003. 40 years ago. 2023. See?
I wish it was 2003.
It's so far ahead that I couldn't even remember.
We still knew what women were.
Do you know what the number one song was? Speaking
83.
of that, it's The Name of a Woman is the name of what this song
Sherry.
is. That's a good guess, but that's not right. No, it's Michael Jackson. Billie Jean.
Oh, Billie Jean
was number one.
Sherry would come later.
Yes, number one on this day in history. 40
Still a
years
great
ago.
song. Jeez, such a great song.
And at the time, it was the most expensive video they had filmed because of the sets and how it looked and
What,
everything.
for the light-up sidewalk?
I guess, because that was the entire
Pretend
set.
slum?
They had to build a entire outside set of the buildings and stuff, yeah. What was number one in the box office 40 years ago in 1983? And it's a little-known, forgettable film that not many people remember, but it was number one for just a little while in 1983 when it was released.
Well, it wouldn't be Return of the Jedi. That's going to come later.
Nope. Well, the clue I gave, no, it would not be. It stars Tom Selleck, by the way. And it was his, they originally wanted Tom, they say, to be Indiana Jones. They approached him first. I heard that. Well, this is kind of his version of it.
Quigley Down Under?
No, it's not Quigley Down Under. This is his version of Indiana Jones. He decided to go ahead and make an Indiana Jones type movie that didn't do as well as they thought because it just wasn't Indiana Jones. A little movie called High Road to China. I don't know if you've ever seen it.
Never seen it.
But it's actually a pretty good movie. I think Bess Armstrong is in it with him, and John Barry does the score. It's a pretty good movie. I watched it on DVD a few years ago, and it was actually pretty good. Number one. The 63rd Academy Awards was held in 1991 on this day in history. What won Best Picture that year in 91 for the 63rd Academy Awards? Do you remember?
Can you give me an actor, maybe?
I can give you a clue in another language.
Okay.
Tatanka.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's easy. That's Dances with Wolves.
That's right. Dances with Wolves. Kevin Costner stars and directs in. I'll give you 2 more on this day in history when we come back and whose birthday it is.
Thanks, Superman. Boy, that sun's hot. I got a headache. I better go home and take some medicine for it.
Oh?
Sure, I got a lot of stuff in the medicine cabinet.
Taking pills is dangerous if you don't know what you're doing.
Dangerous?
The wrong pill or too many pills can make you sick. Remember, kids shouldn't take any medicine unless it's given to them by a doctor or their parents.
I remember, Superman.
Now, the good news is, this year we're going to be riding them new Yamaha. Now, the bad news is they ain't coming in until Tuesday.
The more you know about motorcycles, the more you'll want a Yamaha.
Well, what'll we do till Tuesday, Chief?
Well, we're just going to have to ride. Get him, Fred.
In fact, the more you know, the more likely it is you won't settle for anything else.
We seem to be made to suffer. It's our lot in life.
Hey, we're back. Yeah, I can do that.
Sorry, I didn't know you
got the conversation going on here, and the microphones all of a sudden come on. And see, on this show we can do that.
Yeah.
On these goofy goof-ups and stuff like that. But, official news shows and network changes and things like that.
That break.
You can't.
No, we didn't.
You're like Pee-wee. I meant to do that.
Question?
I meant to do that.
You guys, how do you guys work on your banter? Like, how do you work on the deal? Practice?
What do you mean work on it?
What are you talking about?
It's second nature. Actually, it's first nature.
You guys don't have a script in the studio?
No script. No, I print out general bullet notes, but I usually wind up just throwing them to the side. I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot to get to this. Oh, I'll put it on Facebook. If I don't talk about it, I'll put it on Facebook. We talked about Dances with Wolves earlier before we went to a break in 91, winning the Academy Award. That leads me to go into actors becoming directors. Not all of them are great and have been great at it, but Kevin Costner broke the mold and did that. One would say Mel Gibson has done it. Clint Eastwood has definitely done it.
100%.
And
ironically, here's some trivia for you.
Even
I got
Burt Reynolds
this from
did
Jim
it.
Dunham. There have only been 3 Westerns to ever win Best Picture. One was Cimarron, way back
I remember
a long
Cimarron.
time ago.
Yeah.
But look at the next 2 were actor-directors. Dances with Wolves, and then Unforgiven.
Unforgiven. And that was 2 actors directing it. And one would argue, who could direct actors better than another actor? Well, maybe that's true with some of them, but some of them can't. Some of them just want to direct just for the heck of it.
You've also got to have a really trusted DP, director of photography behind the camera, that you trust to help you with you, because you don't know what you look like in the framing. If you're on the set, you may give a great performance, but you need a cameraman who's going to capture it.
William Shatner was quoted, and he's directed before. He was quoted once as saying, you get together in pre-production, you talk about stuff, and I've been in Hollywood for so many years, and you find out, you try to get as many people surrounding you that know what they're doing and that can maybe compensate for what you don't know how to do or you're not your strong suit. And when you find out in a pre-production meeting and once we're filming the film, you really find out at that point, no one really knows anything. It's like you just really have to trust people to know what's going on. I'm like, that sounds like it might be pretty true. Let's keep going with on this day, March the 25th. We lost somebody on this day way back in 2006.
Yes, you want to come with me tonight to a lecture at the auditorium? It's on sex appeal. No thanks. I already gave.
There you go, a little hee-haw for you there with Buck Owens, Jerry Reed, and Roy Clark. Jerry Reed said again there. I play that because we lost Buck Owens on this day in history, 2006. Alvis Buck Owens, first name Alvis, died of apparent heart attack at 76. On this day in history, 2016, A movie opened that you and I are not that very fond of. We were talking earlier about DC Warner's earlier. Batman versus Superman Dawn of Justice opened on this day in 2016. Really? Has it been back in 2016? 17, 18, 19, 20? 7 years ago. That thing's almost 10 years old already.
Yeah.
Birthdays on this day in history. James A. Lovell Jr., American astronaut, was born on this day in history. Gemini 7, 12, Apollo 8, and the ill-fated Apollo 13, which never made it to the moon. And Jim he wanted to go to the moon for so bad, and he just never got to go. And how horrible is that? You're excited that you're going to go to the moon anyway, which man, not everybody goes to the moon. We get to go to the moon. I'm an astronaut. And to come that close to getting there and not make it and never get the chance to go again. But he did go into space, so how many people get to do that? Well, William Shatner and a lot more people. In the future, probably.
It may be becoming more
prevalent. Yes. Today is the Queen of Soul's birthday today. Aretha Franklin. Yep. She died in 2018. I was like, are all the people, I'm like, please don't make this another, it almost started out another list where everyone's dead. And I'm like, please don't let everybody be dead. Paul Michael Glazer's birthday is today. American actor. He was on Starsky and Hutch. He was Starsky, and he turned out another actor turned director. I don't think he directed a whole lot, but he directed The Running Man with Arnold Schwarzenegger. Paul Michael Glazer from Starsky and Hutch directed that. He certainly did.
That movie has just enough camp that you kind of like it.
I do like
The
Running Man.
Just enough kind of that cheese. Because
it's a Stephen King thing.
Yeah.
It's a Stephen King story, Richard Bachman.
I think what really sold that movie for me, and still to this day, is Richard Dawson.
Oh, yeah, he's great in it. I mean, he's
having
playing
an actual guy that we recognize as
a game show host.
Hosting the ultimate game show.
And who's a good actor because he was an actor first. He was on Hogan's Heroes and some other things. But did you hear the backstory, the production of, if you ever watched the making of The Running Man?
I've never seen the making of it.
It was in production a long time before they finally got around to making it and could make it happen because different people were attached to it. Did you know in the story, the original story, he's not a muscled guy.
No, not even close. No,
Richard,
wait a minute. You really?
Richard Dreyfuss was going to play him, the guy that Arnold plays. And I thought it might have been a little more believable because it's like, I'm not a muscle guy, so I could get killed doing this challenge in this game show. So it would have been probably a different film. But, Arnold was hot at the time, and they wanted to put him in there and turned it a little more into an action movie. And it's still good because I still like The Running Man. I think it's a good movie.
Yeah, I think the only concepts they took from the book beside his name is the idea that he was put there because he was discovering what the government was covering up.
Right. And shades of future, Hunger Games and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah. Before Hunger Games, folks, if you didn't know, there was The Running Man.
There was The Running Man, and it's a really good movie. Today is Elton John's birthday today. We always marveled at, what sunglasses are you going to have on now? Because he wore the crazy glasses in his appearances for years. And I think he still does wear goofy glasses from time to time. He's 75 today. Talk about another guy who has been constant throughout music, what a career he's had. And you know what? I was trying to think. Someone asked me a question many years ago when we were talking about radio and radio stations and genres of music. Different radio stations you'd have the rock stations, then you'd have the classic rock stations, then you'd have the station that would play hits from the 60s, 70s, and 80s, or the soft hits from the 60s, 70s, and 80s, adult standards, stuff like that. And just all kinds of those pop rock stations. And we came up with, we're like, who would be played? Who would have a song on each one of those stations? And we're like, Elton John. We could pick Elton John songs that would play on each one of those stations because of his varied hits that he's done and the styles that he's done them in. The only thing he hasn't done, I don't think, is country. But we weren't talking about that. We were talking about pop, rock, classic hits, adult hits type things. And Billboard hits. So it's Elton John, I think. I can't think of another artist that would have
Joel.
Billy Joel might be one of them, too. And it's funny how they toured together.
That was one of my favorite concerts, the Piano Man tour.
Did you go see that?
I saw them.
And they would do each other's songs.
They were at Phillips Arena. Yeah, they would.
That's
whoever
cool.
opened would have their set list, but then they would play a couple of songs. Like, wait a minute, you're doing a cover now
of him.
And then with the one transition song, they were both on stage doing it together.
Oh, that's
And then there was the handoff.
Right.
And they would do their set, and then they would come back on stage and do a duet again.
Well, cool.
It was awesome.
You made me think. You come up with another artist that would be along with Elton John that could be played probably on every one of the stations.
That's a great game to play. That's one of those road trip games.
Every one of the stations like that. Who would be comfortable on all of them?
Who could you find across multiple stations?
As we think about that, let's also wish a happy birthday to actor Lee Pace. Do you know who Lee Pace is? His name wasn't ringing a bell with me, but then I looked him up. He played Thranduil the Elven King in the Hobbit trilogy, and he also played Ronan in the Guardians of the Galaxy. He's also in a television series, but I can't remember what he was on. But directors love him because they always fawn over he's so great to work with. I'm sorry, he played in a Ronan in Guardians of the Galaxy and in Captain Marvel. He appeared in Captain Marvel as Ronan as well. Ronan the Accuser, the blue-skinned guy with the black lips and the hood, or whatever. Another Tolkien tie-in today, National Day of. Today is Tolkien Reading Day today. That's
There's
nice
never
thing for
a
you.
wrong day to be reading Tolkien.
But if you don't read it and want to, today would be a good day to start, I guess. And today, very special day, today is National Medal of Honor Day. Today, the Medal of Honor is the highest military award for valor in the United States, as we well know, and was created. I didn't know what year it was created, but thanks to this and me checking, I found out. Want to take a stab at what year the National Medal of Honor was created for a recipient the first year?
I'm going to guess it was 1814.
You're in the right. The first two numbers are right in the year.
The right century?
Yes. It's 1861 was the first one.
So right at the beginning of the Civil
did.
War rather than, I was thinking maybe it came out of the War of 1812, but it didn't. Okay.
Right. So there's a little on this day in history today for you. I do want to tell everyone that Pat McCormick with the I got to use the old name first, the Golden Rage of TV. Pat McCormick out there, he's still out there. He's still been doing his thing. He's been interviewing a lot of celebrities and just smoking right along with his channel and his brand that he's doing, which is great. Every now and then we'll all get together with Dave Sundstrom and Thrash Pondo Ponds and do a Retro Palooza live YouTube video, all of four of us together. So we're still out there teaming up. Well, Pat's coming back to the show. He has rebranded himself Retro TV Radio. That's his new name. And he's going to be back on the show next Saturday. So I'm glad to have Pat back. I've missed Pat. I've still been talking to him and stuff, and marveling at his interviews that he's got to talk to. He's talked to some
great content.
Cast of Lost in Space. He spoke with Loretta Swit from MASH.
That's how we opened.
Yeah, he interviewed Michael Learned, Mrs. Walton from the Waltons, who was very successful. He's just talked to a lot of people. He had Michael Gray from Shazam, and by the way, speaking of Michael Gray, good friend of the program. Shazam, Fury of the Gods is in the theater right now. I don't know if you've seen it or not, but this is not really a spoiler because it's already been out there, and I think the movie's been out a week or two already. Michael Gray, who played Billy Batson on the original Shazam CBS Filmation series, he has a cameo in Shazam, Fury of the Gods. He was in town filming in Atlanta probably about 9 months ago. Couldn't come to see us here. He was going to come visit us, but he was kind of sequestered and signed a non-disclosure agreement not to talk to anybody in radio, I guess. That's right. Speak on there.
Very interesting.
We will return after these messages.
I've waited a long time for this, Luke Skywalker. Ready, Darth Vader.
Introducing Bespin World, new from Star Wars Micro Collection line. 16 die-cast figures and action poses included. It's 3 play sets in one.
I'll connect Gantry to Bespin control room. Watch what happens to Luke.
Wow! Activate Bespin freeze chamber. Han looks frozen.
Let's connect him. It's the whole world of Bespin.
Bespin World from Star Wars Micro Collection line. Play sets also sold separately. Figures included. New from Kenner.
In the world of ham, you have to know your way around the fat and gristle. But you'll know you've come to the fillet of ham when you see the golden star. Only the choice part of the ham goes into a golden star. That's why it is dependably lean and tender, slice after smoky slice. Golden Star Ham by Armour. It's all fillet of ham.
You're listening to BK on the air. Now back to a guy who put me through a lot of pain in childbirth. I'm his mother, I should know, but I love him anyway. It's BK on the air.
I had nothing to do with that, Mom. I don't know why you keep blaming me for all that pain. Maybe the pain later, when I turned into a preteen or a teen, but the childbirth thing, I had nothing to do with that. I was the first child. I guess it was easier with her with my sister, who was born 3 years later. They always say the later kids are better. You're a little more lax. You're a little more not as crazy about, oh, don't my kid come into contact with anything. And then as the second and third child, you're like, yeah, okay, whatever. You're a little more.
Can't let him experience life. The next one.
Yeah, don't let him breathe
dirt.
air.
Yeah, he'll learn.
He'll eat a little bit of that dirt, and he'll learn not to eat it anymore.
You can rub it in a wound, keep going.
Or drink bleach at a washing machine like I did. I won't take a second sip because it's so terrible the first time. So
the fact you're still alive.
I saw Mom last weekend. I went over and spent some time with her. My mom is crazy about crossword puzzles, and she won't do them online. She won't do them on a computer. She just loves to watch YouTube videos. She'll find YouTube videos to watch, and she's mesmerized by it. But crosswords and what's the other word-finding puzzles and stuff that you can get, the books where you have to find the words diagonally and stuff. And what's the other one? Sudoku? She loves all that stuff. So every time I go there, I take her about 20 of them. And I go, you go to the dollar store, Family Dollar, and they're just there. And I just throw them into a bag.
That's so good for the brain, though. Literally, they say that. That's great. That's awesome for your mom to be doing.
No, let me clarify. I throw them into a bag and take them to her. I pay for them first before I leave the store. I do pay for them. I had some cereal yesterday. I got up in the morning and I said, I haven't had any cereal for a while.
It's a cereal kind of
and you and I still, if they listen to this show, they know that you and I still love breakfast cereal.
Of course.
Even the kiddie ones. We'll get them sometimes. It's a treat. It's fun. So I thought, why don't I on Saturday, if I got time to do it, and I got time, MeTV did another story called Alas, We Will Never Eat These 18 Cereals from the 1980s Ever Again. And it's some of the ones that I remember. They just haven't made them in a long time. No, they didn't cancel them yesterday. These are just ones from the 80s they haven't made in a while. But I'm sure
you're sad. I was putting my sad face on.
They canceled Fruit Loops. What? Well, we can get the store brand, I guess. It's not as good, but at least they'll be around. So, but yeah, I got a list of 18 cereals here that you will never hear from again. Let's start off with just one of them.
The adventure of a new force at breakfast. We'll call them C-3POs. New C-3PO cereal from Kellogg's. Twin rings, phased together. For 2 crunches in every 00. A delicious part of this nutritious breakfast. Now you can experience the taste of Kellogg's C-3POs. A crunchy new force at breakfast. May the force be with you.
Yeah, the force of C-3POs. That's the first on the list, by the way. It says, we're serious cereal junkies. The article says, breakfast of champions? Who wants that? It's the dinner of champions as well. Nothing pairs better with your favorite sitcom than a heaping bowl of crunchy rice, corn, and oats, or something of that nature. Now, grab a spoon and dig into the past for the prize. The first one up, you heard the clip, C-3PO's. Goldenrod got his cereal in 1984, a year after the first trilogy wrapped it up in 1983 with Return of the Jedi. As for the shapes, they look like 8s and 8s, sort of like the infinity symbol or whatever. Mm-hmm. I guess they're supposed to be circling his eyes or something. I don't know what the shape was, but they could have brought it back as BB-8 cereal if they wanted to, the robot. That would have been funny. Number 2 on the list, Donkey Kong Jr. Now, there was a lot of cereals that came out based on video games back in the day.
I'm going to guess Pac-Man's got to be on this list.
It probably is on the thing. Naturally, there was a Donkey Kong cereal, too, but we're spotlighting Donkey Kong Jr., because, 1, it was fruity and banana-shaped, and number 2, Donkey Kong Jr. was a better video game. Debate, look out, they say. This hit stores in 1983. I don't know. Donkey Kong Jr. was a fun game, but I think I like Donkey Kong better, the first one. So if I had to choose. Donkey Kong 3 was interesting. They all got less fun as they went along, or less creative. Number 3 on the list, Dunkin' Donuts cereal. I remember
that.
It being on the shelves.
So far, I've eaten every one of these.
You've eaten it. You just don't remember them. You've had them. 1988, it was time to make the cereal. It was time for Dunkin' Donuts. The delicacy came in glazed and chocolate varieties. Now, you can look closely and note the 3 shapes: rings, holes, and twists. Of course, that's the shapes they came in.
Yep.
Dunkin' Donuts. I don't think I ever tried Dunkin' Donuts cereal, but I remember seeing it on the shelf when I went bachelor shopping in 1988 when I was living on my own, I guess. Number 4, on one based on a movie, E.T., the extraterrestrial, E.T. cereal. Made with E.T.'s favorite flavors, chocolate and real peanut butter. These were brilliant. A sort of Reese's Krispies is kind of what they reminded you of. And why not? I mean, he loved Reese's Pieces in the film.
That's why I like the Reese's Peanut Butter Cup cereal now.
And does it taste kind of like E.T. cereal? See, I haven't had you've had the Reese's Peanut Butter Cup cereal. I keep seeing it on the shelf and go, should I?
So
I don't know if I want to go down that,
it's so
that
good.
route. I think we're seeing new cereals that we won't ever see again. They'll fade eventually.
You have to commit to saying, I'm going to only eat this, and I promise I'm not going to get a second helping. It's that good.
I can't do that. So I don't make that promise, and I eat it anyway. So is the wonderful milk remnants after the Reese's peanut butter cereal really delicious?
So here's
like
the thing.
Milk
I've gotten to the point where I know just enough milk to pour, so I'm done with the milk as I finish the cereal.
I got to have a little extra milk to drink, like chocolate milk at the end at the bottom of the bowl. See, when Mrs. BK eats cereal, let me give you a little inside secret here, and I don't think it's a secret where she'll mind if I share it. She doesn't like a lot of milk with her cereal at all. She likes she goes, you know how she puts milk in cereal? She uses a syringe. It's like 10 cc's from a syringe. It goes, so that's enough. That's all the milk I wanted. That's what she does with it. Now me, I'm a milk junkie. Shouldn't be because I'm allergic to dairy products. And
see, that's the thing. I have to be careful how much dairy all at once.
Yep.
So I have just enough per spoonful.
Dairy likes to reproduce itself in my body as mucus. I mean, it activates my I get an asthma problem if I drink too much dairy. Too much. One bowl's not going to kill me.
Yeah, no, every now and then.
But if I were to be out in a field of pollen, drinking a lot of milk with cats surrounding me, call the forget the ambulance, just call the coroner, cut out the middleman, and have them come pick me up. Because if those three things are attacking me at the same time, I've had it. Speaking of peanut butter and jelly, PB&J cereal is next on our list.
Never even heard of that.
It's a curiosity. It came out in 1982. Never made it to mass market, despite the appeal. It says so. PB&J. I would try it, and I don't think I ever saw it on the.
I've never even heard of it.
Number 13, powdered donuts, and that's DONUTZ, donuts as they spell it. They were quite the rage, it says, probably because it was an easy way to rebrand Cheerios for sugar fiends, is what they called it. The 1980 launch also came in a chocolate-flavored donuts variety. So I guess it was kind of Cheerios, but it was kind of sweet.
Isn't it just now Frosted Cheerios?
That's what I would think, yeah. And the peanut butter.
I've never had those, but I do like Frosted Cheerios.
The oats peanut butter Cheerios that I've tried, they're really good. I've tried them lately. I never was a Cheerio hater. I put sugar on Cheerios when I was a kid. It's like frosted, like cornflakes. Mm-hmm. Dad's like, why don't you? My dad loved cornflakes. That was his favorite cereal, and he wouldn't put sugar on it. And I would put sugar on it, and he's like, geez, if you're going to do that, I'm just going to buy Frosted Flakes, because that's what they are. Right. It's just cornflakes with sugar on it already. Next up, Raisin Squares. It wasn't all about the kid demographic, obviously, with this one. These chewy nuggets from 1982, basically raisin stuffed mini wheats, were quite tasty, it says.
Didn't.
Like as a kid, you said you put wheat in it at all. I'm like, no. I said, I'm on the Kellogg's. I'm on the Rice Krispies the boat. I'm not going to get on the wheat boat as a kid.
Well, I
didn't go
frosted. The frosted mini wheats.
Well, it had to be frosted though, right, with sugar. Yeah. Number 15. I do remember this one. Rocky Road.
No, geez, I went first 8 in a row. I've had that. And now I haven't heard.
Hey, it had 8 essential vitamins. Is chocolate a vitamin? It says. They always put that on the cover.
Fortified.
And you know what? Let's be truthful. Cereal was fortified.
It was.
To make up for the crap that was in it to make it sound appealing
they were like,
to
kids
parents.
will eat it, but we need them to eat healthy.
Yeah, we got to help out here. We don't want them to get fat that quickly. We don't want it to be. Number 16 on the list here. S'mores Crunch.
I had that.
Says dentists must have adored the 1980s. This day starter took golden grahams, dusted them with cocoa, and added marshmallows. Got 2 more to go for the break here. No, we got a few more than that. Might have to do them. No, this is the last 2. Number 17, Smurf Berry Crunch.
Had Smurfs.
Number 1, if the strawberry shortcake cereal failed to provide enough berry variety, there was this 2-tone spoonful of it. Yeah. Waffle-O's.
Yes.
The sweetest of all cereals decade kicked off with the launch of this maple-rich Waffle-O's waffle cereal.
Mm-hmm.
That sounds incredible.
Okay, so I started well and ended well. The middle I didn't know anything about.
We have a lot more to go. I'll take them up after the break. We're going to take a break. We got more cereals from the 80s you'll never hear from again. Some of them, unfortunately. Some of them, fortunately, when we come back. Cereal. I want some cereal.
Food. It's what makes our world go round.
Like a brand new cereal.
You bet your sweet maple syrup flavor. It's new Waffle-O's, and I'm Waffle-O Bill. Yahoo! Oops. Well, I'm the best Waffle-O hunter west of the.
That's easy for him to say.
God, darn it!
What are Waffle-O's anyway?
You're looking at them, partners. Little waffle-shaped cereal squares that taste like waffles with the flavor of maple syrup mixed right in.
They stay crispy in milk.
Yep, and they're chock full of all kinds of good things.
What kind of things?
Things.
Oh, thanks.
It means they're fortified with 8 vitamins plus iron.
Yeah, new Waffle-O cereal. A nice part of a complete breakfast. Yahoo!
Uh-oh.
Oops.
Waffalo with flavor of waffles and maple syrup. New. It's new. Yeah.
OJ. Roll them out. Keep them oranges rolling.
That there's O.J. Joe, rounding up oranges for Kellogg's, where they'll take the sweet juice and put it into new O.J.'s, a crunchy, delicious orange-tasting cereal.
Let's eat them up.
That's one delicious orange taste, O.J.
That's my brand. O.J.'s are packed with vitamin C, part of his complete breakfast. New O.J., the delicious orange.
I think it's funny that we get a O.J. cereal is on the list of long-forgotten 80s cereal, and we just had on this day in history, the OJs hit it with Love Train. It's not that OJ. It's not O.J. Simpson. Not O.J. Simpson. It's OJ's. It's a cereal based on orange juice, I guess. It's very weird. I've never had OJ's, and I don't know that I even remember them. And it says, just as banana was uncommonly popular as a flavor in the 1960s, orange cereals cropped up in the 1980s. Why are citrus cereals so hard to find now? I wonder why. This cereal was barely available around 1985, it seems, but they do fondly recall it. It just doesn't sound appealing.
You know, when you say it like orange juice, and you think how tart, but I do like orange creamsicles.
Citrus, orange.
Which is kind of mixing a vanilla flavor
with
right,
orange. Yeah, maybe if I can find an old box, I'll try it.
If it tasted more like a creamsicle or like I used to like the Bears children flavor.
Oh,
aspirin.
Yeah, they're so good, yeah.
It's like, oh, these are good. Can I have it? It's like, it's not candy. It tastes like candy.
And it's aspirin.
Like the orange Tic Tac.
It'll help me, right? I won't ever feel any pain.
What was the purpose of the orange Tic Tac?
I don't know.
Because
no idea.
Like all the other ones were mints. They made your breath, but orange. It didn't even smell
My
good. But you just
like
ate the whole pack
orange
at once.
and stuff.
I know. I did. I went through. My mom was like, "I'm not buying you the orange. You eat them all at once."
I'll go on eBay and see if there's an old unopened box of OJ's, and maybe we'll just try them one day here at the studio from the 80s.
I'm at a point now in my life I will try anything. When I was a kid, I probably wouldn't have, but now.
But I mean, if I find an old box that's unopened from 1985, we'll open it and have it and see if it's any good.
We'll see if
you're willing to do that.
See if all those preservatives really do their work.
If you're willing to do it and see if we are on the air the next weekend, we'll see.
I would do
it.
Out.
Ice Cream Cones is on the list with its mascot Ice Cream Jones. I remember this. I play this clip sometimes. These sugary servings from 1987 stopped pretending that they were healthy a long time ago. They even came with gumballs inside. Still too healthy? No, there was a chocolate chip iteration as well. They just said, who cares? We're just going to come out with an ice cream cone cereal. We don't care what you think of it. It's going to be stocked with, your kids are going to be climbing the trees of your neighbor's house when they eat this cereal. It's going to be great. Marshmallow Krispies is next on the list. Launched in 1982, this rather basic concept oddly no longer exists. The fruity variation featured a young Fred Savage in the ads, delivering stand-up comedy in its commercial. So there you go, 1982 Marshmallow Krispies. I guess it was part of the Rice Krispie brand. Next up is Nerds. You say you remember Nerds. I don't remember that. It says, now this was genius. 2 cereals in 2 compartments, just like the candy Nerds. Though, let's be honest, this was breakfast candy. Orange cherry vied for your taste buds with grape/strawberry in 1985.
I don't think it lasted very long.
Did you? Yeah.
It was more novelty.
I might remember that.
Because then you wanted to open both sides and pour them both at the same time anyway. But the hard part, because you had the 2 pouches, if you're pouring it, you're going to end up making a mess.
Right.
You didn't think to, like as a child, to take the pouch out of the box.
And I never fooled my mom. If I wanted a prize in cereal, I couldn't wait for you to eat the whole box. I'm like, okay, before Mom gets home, I'm going to dump the entire bit of cereal out in this giant bowl, take the prize, then I'm going to put the cereal back in the box, which never went back in properly.
No.
It looked like it was bulging at the seams. I'm like, why? This just came out of here. Why is it not going back in the same way? I can't do
we're
it.
Dumb when we're young. We didn't realize you can fluff up the box.
When we're young? Okay.
You jammed it all down in there.
Took some of that dumbness into my adulthood, by the way. I do remember this next one, though. Next on the list. Nintendo Cereal System was this next one. Yep, another dual compartment box. If you watch cartoons circa 1988, there's no way this jingle was not stuck in your head. I should have played that one, but I couldn't find a real good version of it. It had basically little 16-bit whatever they look like on the pixelated thing or whatever. Block characters on the cover, and it had the controller on there on the cover, and it was Nintendo cereal.
I don't remember this at all.
How about this one, Mr. T?
I do remember Mr.
We
T.
pity the fools who didn't try this cereal in 1984. Well, okay, it was essentially Captain Crunch, and that's why I liked it, because I do remember Mr. T cereal, and it did remind me of Captain Crunch, and Captain Crunch should have kicked his butt. I'm going to kick your butt for taking over my cereal.
How dare you get on my ship?
I got $5 on Captain Crunch. He has a sword, and he's on a ship. He could take Mr. T. Plus, he did rip him off. And right here, I just played it. OJ's. So I already talked about that, but that was next on the list. So there you go. There is a little list, or a big list rather, from MeTV about cereals from the 80s you'll never hear from again. Don't say never, because retro things come back into play, or they come back thinly masquerading as another name. Let's just take the recipe for OJ's and do them something. They're healthy, so we'll play up the oranges thing on it, and we'll bring it back for kids today for politically correct, healthy cereal.
Yeah, I mean, there's only so many ways you can make cereal, right?
Yes. Well, we think, yeah, that's right. But I do have this. Now, April Fool's, at the time of this show, April the 1st is like a week away. And I don't know if this is an April Fool's joke or not, but I saw it last night, and I thought I'd sneak it in here from Fox 5 Atlanta. Little Caesars Pizza drops an ad I saw for a new crust they're going to have on their pizzas. They posted an ad to social media, seemingly promoting a new pizza crust made out of whole cobs of corn on the cob, and a 2-liter bottle of butter to help wash it down, they advertised. Is it an early April Fool's joke? I don't know.
Okay, yeah.
Because, I would say years ago, I'd go, no, it's April Fool's joke. But today, I don't know today, to be quite honest. When I try to predict something, I'm wrong with this crazy Twilight Zone world we live in now.
It's a log you throw on the fire. It smells like you're cooking chicken.
We're going to sell some Croc shoes that smell like KFC, too. It's like, what?
What?
Now, April Fool's joke is what customers are hoping. The rollout for the corny social media promotion began on March the 20th.
Corny.
Quote, the crust the world craves is coming soon, unquote, one of the ads said over the past few days. Now, meanwhile, what they really crave could be the pretzel-cut pizza that is expected to make its return to the Little Caesars chain in April. Several media outlets report the playful promotion was nothing more than a tease to introduce the more highly anticipated rollout. Little Caesars Pizza is not the first company to try their hand at trolling their fan base. Remember IHOP saying they were going to change their name to IHOB, IHOB, burger pancake fiasco a few years back? I remember that because we talked about it either on the news flash or we did say it on this radio show. So, yeah, so let me
file that appropriately.
It needs to go there because I don't know if I believe that or not. But like a goofball, dummy, idiot, wacko, I'm like, oh, I'll try it if it comes out. I mean, you and I, well, how are we going to know if we like anything unless we try it? Isn't that true?
Correct.
Because I was going through a town in northwest Georgia, about 10, 12 years ago. Maybe it was 15 now that I think about it because it all runs together. I love chicken wings, and I know you do too. And it's hard to ruin chicken wings the way you make them, smoked, lathered, dry rub, whatever you like on them or whatever. And I went to this place up there that advertised, we have a roasted peanut butter based chicken wing thing that we do. I'm like, what? Number one, I love chicken wings. Number two, I love peanut butter, and I love roasted peanuts. So I'm thinking, okay, taking all the things I love, mix them together and trying them. Now, I would tell people about it, and they're like, ooh, and they got in their mind what I did. I'm like, so you get the idea of like, oh, they took chicken wings and smeared peanut butter on top of them, and you ate them. I'm like, no, that's not what it was.
How cooking works.
So I tried. Have you ever tried? Have you ever heard of it before?
I haven't had wings, but I love Chinese, and there's peanut chicken. I love.
Right, but this is peanut butter, roasted peanut butter based kind of a. It's not really a sauce. It's kind of a dry thing on it. And I tried it, and it was delicious. It was really good because I could feel I could taste the peanut buttery taste was there, but it didn't taste like peanut butter slabbed on wings. Right. It had what do they call it? It had the hint of peanuts, hint of peanut roasting.
It's amazing. They really complement each other. That little bit of peanut
and it was
then the
so
chicken.
Good. It's so good. We should do a show one day or a segment of one. I know it was your food talk show today, once a month. We should do one maybe about foods that we heard about and expected to be horrible but surprised us. That was one perfect example for me right there. When I would start hearing about, talk about different themed food, Italian food, Mexican food, American food, seafood. When I visited my first Indian restaurant for the first time for Indian food, I was with a friend. He's like, I'm going to take you to the Indian restaurant. I'm like, oh, okay, I don't know, what do they have? And I start looking at the menu. I'm like, number one, I don't know what any of this is.
Right.
It doesn't tell me what's in it. So when we went there, we went to a restaurant which had everything listed in what was there. Like, this is made out of this. This had this. He started me out on, because he knew about it. So he started me out on what if you're going to introduce someone to Shakespeare, you don't want to start them off with something that's going to turn them off immediately. You introduce them to Much Ado About Nothing or something like that. Something
Midsummer Night's
approachable.
Dream.
Right.
Something
palatable.
palatable.
He started out with Indian food that was palatable and he thought was pleasant and good. So I'm like, okay. So I had chicken tikka masala with some naan bread and some other things. And since that day, I have loved going to Indian restaurants because the food to me is just an incredible mixture of spices and tastes. Again, there's some of it that I don't like, but there's some of it I don't like in all foods. Mm-hmm. Like, certain type of Italian mixtures I don't like, certain Mexican foods not a big fan of.
I have to say, knock on wood, in those two areas, I have not found anything I don't like.
Not one. It's hard to find anything in Chinese food is just give me any of it. No, it's really good, so I'll take it.
I'm just suddenly craving Chinese. I talked about peanut chicken, and now we're talking about Chinese food.
Jeez, at least you're craving just that. I want to go to eat at Mexican, then go to Chinese, and then go to Italian food,
get a Chinese
and
lasagna,
then go to
fajita.
an Indian restaurant within the next 2 hours. Just visit all four of them, like the guy. Disney Park hopped. I want to hop all the restaurants down. I want it to be food. The food day here in what do they call it? Foods when it's in downtown areas have their food restaurants show up.
Like a taste of Carter's.
Taste of. I can't wait for the next taste of. So next week we're going to have BK from the Allatoona Dam Food Truck Beer
Talk about
Garden.
a taste of.
Yeah, we're going to have him talking about the drive-in theater that he's putting together and movies he's going to show.
That's so cool.
And the food truck place is great over there, and I always love going over there when I get a chance. So it's BK on there. Had a fun day with you today. Now I'm hungry. We got to go eat now.
Got to go eat.
Come on, it's BK on there. We'll see you on the podcast.
Oh, we are the Freakies, and this is a Freaky Street. We never miss a meal, cause we love our cereals. This is the big boss, we call him Boss Moss. Make sure you spell it right.
Snorkeled off, they call me so handsome and pretty.
He's little hand-hosed.
He's got a weird nose.
Do I really have to sing?
My name is Grumble.
I am Tumumble.
You're standing on my foot.
Gargold is his name.
This is my game. I know more than you do.
Says you.
And don't forget me, I'm goody-goody. I always do what's right. For instance, I eat Freaky cereal because it's got a lot of vitamins and it's good for me.
You too can have crunchy, freaky cereal as part of your good breakfast. And there's a free freaky in specially marked boxes.
Okay, here comes the big finish.
We are the Freakies. We are the Freakies. This is a Freaky Street.
Goodbye.